ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's episode of Game Poke, the show where we cover gaming-related topics and talk a lot of old bollocks. And today's bollocks is Game Boy. Yes, I promised I'd be doing some Game Boy stuff because, yes, I cover a lot of Master System, but I love Game Boy, and I want to show that more love. This is the sort of video that's probably doomed to fail on my channel just because Nintendo, which is a piss up, but I'm still going to give it a go because this is something I want to do. And everyone keeps telling me I should do more of the things I want to do on my own bloody channel. So, here we go. And today, yes, Tetris. We're going to be talking about the 5 Tetris games on the original Game Boy. My personal history with them. Alright, now I grew up on Master System for a little while, yes, but then Game Boy for a long time. And you know, as I got older, I think the reason why my parents sold my Master System was because back then, you forget this, don't you? But back then, you probably only had one television per household. So because of that, I reckon my parents got fed up with their son wanting to play video games and taking up the TV. They thought, oh look, there's that Gameboy what's it on their advert that I see now. Kids play games, I still get to watch me crap. They sell that thing and buy him that. I reckon that's part of what was going through their heads at the time. So, yeah. But because of being exposed to Game Boy, I got addicted to Tetris. I loved Tetris. Never played anything like it before. So without further ado, let's just get on to the first one. Tetris! Yes, Tetris. This thing just shoved Nintendo to the top of the lines when it came to sales and everything. They were the company to be a part of. And yes, Tetris was a big reason for that at that time. It's a very fucking simple game. Everyone's played it, or even if you haven't played it, you know how to play it. Line up the bloody blocks to make a full line and watch line disappear. There's championships, there's world records, there's like Tetris 99 on the Switch, which my wife has just discovered for herself, and she loves it. She's addicted to the fucking thing now. There's a lot of swearing when, like, she doesn't do a good run, because it's one of them games you turn on and sometimes you end up going against some little Japanese kid who's a fucking pro player and he thrashes everyone in seconds. It's funny watching her sit there go, bullshit, this is bullshit, game's crap. Fuck it. She goes and plays it again. But on the Game Boy, the good thing is you didn't have that, but you did have the ability to play against your friends, didn't you? You had the link cable. And the link cable really, you know, it evolved things. The ability for 2-player gaming on a handheld. It's revolutionary. For years, we wouldn't get anything nearly as good until like Pokemon Red, when you could trade shit and battle shit. But Tetris is just, I love this game. It is a perfect game. Is the Game Boy version a perfect version of it? Depends what you play it on. I mean, you see here with the pea green colouring, I decided to keep it like that to remind people it's not black and white. It was green and black. It was really shitty lighting. You could not fucking see. If I remember, maybe I'll show some game footage of what it looked like on an original Game Boy. You think back, wait, how the hell did we play it then? Trying to play it like that now? No, alright, it's terrible. You need either a modded Game Boy or like a Game Boy Advance SP, or I don't know, but if you want to play original Tetris, original Game Boy cartridge, you need something better than original Game Boy to play it on, because the screen was shit. Aside from that, this is a perfect game. Now we're going to go on to the next game I got in the series. I may have forgotten to mention, I want to go through them in the order I got these games, because that way I can remember my first impressions of them, and what I thought of them over the years. This one is perfect. There's not a lot more to go on to. It's just Tetris. Now for the next one. Tetris 2 was when things started to go a bit shitty. When I first heard there was a Tetris 2, it was like, ah, I need it. Remember, NES back then in England, people had it, but it weren't a major craze. I knew 2 people who had an NES back then. Everyone else had Master System, or they did something PC-wise, computer-wise, maybe even like just Commodore, ZX Spectrum stuff still, but it was computer or Master System, later Mega Drive. NES, it's just the odd person. At least in my area where I live, you know. So we didn't know about Tetris 2 on NES, but when we found out about it on Game Boy, holy shit. Managed to get my parents to buy me this thing, played it in like the car ride home. I was like, what's going on? What have they done? Basically, it's like Tetris / Dr. Mario. You gotta get certain coloured blocks to match the certain coloured circles to make the certain colours disappear. In short, it's got fucking nothing to do with getting rid of lines anymore. Nothing. It's match, is it 3 blocks or is it 4? Whatever, I think it's 3. Match 3 blocks and they will disappear. Or match 2 blocks and the coloured dot you have to get rid of to complete the level. It's not really Tetris anymore. It lost a bit of that core feel. It's the sort of thing where you think you could have called it anything else and maybe less people would have been disappointed. But the funny thing is, sales would have been worse. Because you put Tetris on it, people are like, oh my god, Tetris. And I was one of them idiots. Bought it. Is this a bad game? No. No, it's quite fun. Is it a disappointing game? Oh yeah, it was at the time. And now it's like, it just makes you stand back and go, this isn't Tetris. It's not Tetris. Puyo Puyo Tetris is more Tetris than that. And Puyo Puyo Tetris is only 50% Tetris. This isn't even 50%. It's just not, is it? But as I say, it's a good game. It's just... It's a bit of an in it. Next game, and the next one, was the third Tetris game I got, obviously, and it is my favourite Tetris to this day. Here we go. Tetris Blast. Now, before we continue, I want to show you a bit of gameplay with just the main theme playing, because the main theme on this game is fantastic. Some of the best music out of Game Boy. Here we go. Hear that? That is fantastic. That is beautiful. I love that fucking Game Boy tune. It is great. This Tetris was called something else in Japan. Bomb Bliss. I think this one was actually Super Bomb Bliss. I don't know why, but essentially it didn't start off life, at least, as Tetris. Even though it is more Tetris than Tetris 2, because this one maintains the whole rule of, like, you can get so many lines, you fill the screen and shit, but lines don't just disappear. If they don't... I'm a professional. Yay. Forgot to mute the computer behind me. There. Anyway, Tetris Blast is all about the little bombs you see on the screen. If it doesn't have a bomb in the block, I believe they're called garbage blocks. They don't do anything. They don't blow up on their own, even when you line them up. There has to be some explosives to them. And you would say this still destroys the core aspect of Tetris rules, but it's so much fun, you don't give a shit. I think that might be what they were hoping for in Tetris 2. They were hoping you'd enjoy the game so much, you wouldn't care that there's been such a deviation from the rules. Not enough fun, I feel, but in Tetris Blast, there's fucking explosions! And enemies, these little pricks that you have to beat. I say have to. It's one way of playing Tetris Blast. You can play fight mode, or training, or what's the other one? Contest or something like that. But the fight mode's where it's at. Great fun. Tetris Blast is the best one on Game Boy. If you've never played it, I don't blame you, because it doesn't seem to have been re-released on anything, which is infuriatingly fucking stupid. Out of all the Tetris games you see today, this is the one you must try. I just don't know how you're going to, aside from buying the cartridge, because I don't think there's a digital thing anywhere. Great game. Really, really needs a re-release. Out of all the Game Boy games we're going to get on the little Switch Game Boy emulation thing, or what's it? If this appears there, it'll be the same Tetris, which I haven't really had for fucking years. So let's hope, fingers crossed, that happens. Now we go to the next game, because otherwise I just will not shut up about this one. I know I won't. But the next game, it's a weird one, and I really didn't know what to think of it at the time. Tetris Plus. This one's very weird. In researching this, doing a bit of homework, I found out there's a Saturn version for the Sega Saturn, so I had no idea of that. I might look that up later. I did know there were home console ones, and they look okay, but for me, Tetris has always been more enjoyable when you're playing it on a handheld device. I don't know why, I guess I just always associate Tetris with handheld. Whatever. Plus is a weird one in the fact that, yet again, they fucked with the rules, but they finally brought back the core element. Make a line, the line disappears. Something we haven't seen in several games, it's finally fucking back. But who is this prick? You have this little Professor Safari, I don't know who the fuck he is. He looks like Mario with his hat stuck over his eyes. You've got to get him to the ground to beat a level. That doesn't sound like a big deal, really. It just means if you destroy enough lines, he will walk along and find the route down. And he only needs a space of 2 blocks to get down. Doesn't sound like a big deal. Until you notice that above his head is a bunch of fucking spikes that keep getting dropped. If you're not quick enough, you will be crushed and murdered. I like that idea. I do. Murder's always fun. Murder and Tetris? Sure. I think the only thing that really disappointed me about this one at the time was I was so in love with Tetris Blast that I wanted more Tetris Blast. I didn't want any change, you know. Again, I can see why Tetris 2 wasn't as popular as it could have been, because people just wanted more Tetris. They didn't want something that was just so different from Tetris. I wanted more Tetris Blast. I didn't want anything that was too different from Blast. This is back to original Tetris with some weird shit happening. But again, you know, if you don't add changes to Tetris, it's just another fucking Tetris game. They need these changes. Tetris 99, the ability to play against so many fucking people. Anyway, I digress. Plus is a fun one. It's another oddball. It really is an odd one. It's as if they've tried putting in story to it, but on the plus side, they've only done a little bit of story. Not too much. There's like, Puyo Puyo Tetris, they've added story in that one, but they've added so much I fucking hate it. It does not need that much cunting story for a puzzle game. But I blame the Puyo Puyo makers more than anything for that, because they love having story in their Puyo Puyo games, even though no one ever fucking asked for it. We just want to play the cunting game. I don't need to read shit about some annoying little character who is, in all purposes, just an annoying little character. No redeeming features. I could ramble on forever about that shit now, couldn't I? Now we're going to go to the final game. It's a bit of a short vid because I wanted to make sure that, you know, I weren't talking about Game Boy too much. They alienated people when it was all they wanted was Master System stuff. This next game is one I didn't get for years. For years, I didn't get this. And it's because I couldn't afford it. You know, I was only a kid. Money was pocket money, birthday money, all that other shit. If I did get the money, it was like, there's this other game that's just come out. I want that more. And it always just kept getting pushed back and back and back, even though I always wanted it. And I remember seeing in stores the posters for this game. It was the SNES version, but it also was Game Boy. You saw the things at the bottom of the poster. I paid no attention to Super Nintendo. I paid all attention to Game Boy. I wanted this game like crazy. Little did I know, it would be the most hated Tetris for me. Here it is. Tetris Attack. The name is misleading as fuck. You would think Tetris Blast. Explosives. Tetris Attack? Wait, are we getting attacked by Tetris blocks? Are Tetris blocks attacking things? Yeah, that sounds cool. And you look on the poster, or even the front cover for the fucking game, there's these angry red blocks. And you seem to have your eyes focus solely on them and the logo, Tetris Attack. 2 pissed off blocks. Think, yeah. Because you pay so much attention to them, you fail to notice the crap underneath. What is all of that? Funny shapes, funny icons? Those aren't Tetris shapes. What are those? The fuck are they? Doesn't look very Tetris. But you don't pay attention to them because of the cool shit at the top. That was how I was fooled into buying this thing years later. Can you imagine how pissed I was when I turned it on and the first thing I saw was fucking Yoshi? Yes, Yoshi's in this game. Why is he in this game? I'll tell you why he's in this game. Apparently in Japan, the original Tetris Attack had a different name, I believe, but also it had unique characters. When they released it over here, for some reason they decided to swap those characters for Nintendo icons, Yoshi and such. Yeah, the funny thing is, all I know about the Japanese release is that it was based in a fantasy world and stuff like that. And then outside Japan, like I said, they replaced it with Mario characters. I don't know why, because it's not that would have got me to buy it anyway. It was the fact that it's called Tetris Attack is what made me want to buy the game. Even though it was years later, I finally bought it. It's not Tetris at all. There is not a single fucking piece of this game that is Tetris. The blocks are flipping ones. You're meant to flip them and match them in lines and shit. A thing that's been done 100 times over, normally with like gem games and stuff like that. I don't know which is the first style of this game, but I've seen it in so many places. It's just like you flip patterns, you match blocks, that's it. But it's not Tetris at all. There's not a single thing to this that's Tetris. Tetris 2 was only a little Tetris. It felt more Dr. Mario than Tetris. But this is not fucking Tetris at all. It even says on various websites that the people who owned Tetris, the company at the time, regretted it later that Nintendo had the rights to the Tetris name. Nintendo literally just slapped the name Tetris onto it and thought that would make sales. I don't know how right they were. I don't know how successful this game was. All I know is I fucking hate it. This game is shit. It's infuriatingly shit how they did something so cheap. Just slapped a name on it and go, buy it now. I hate it when things do this. Like, didn't they do something like that with Contra? I think they did. One of the later Contra games wasn't even a Contra game. It was something else, but they slapped Contra on it. People bought it. Can you imagine if they did that with Zelda? Just think about it. Think of the shittest game you can, and then just give it the name to one of your favourite franchises. Because that's what this is. Tetris Attack is a bullshit game with an awesome name slapped on it. From an awesome franchise. That's all this is. This is a turd. This is a shit game. I hate it. I can just go on forever about how much I hate it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching today's episode of GamePoke. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please click like, comment, subscribe, and all that other pony. We'll do more Game Boy stuff in the future. Let me know what you would like to see covered. Would you like me to do the same as we're doing with Master System right now? With Master System, we're going through genres. We've done beat-em-ups, we've done sports games. You'll be surprised as to what genre we do next. I'm not going to tell you. But with Game Boy, we don't have to follow that route. We've done Tetris, we could do the Mario games, Wario games, you could do best consoles, we could do anything. I just want to do more Game Boy stuff, but I am open to ideas on certain topics within it. There you are. Slightly different video today. Bit of a shorter one, not so much an angry one. See? It's possible. It can be done. Rare occasions. Once again, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.